There have been some big changes on the ITC receiver, as well as the Starfire 3000 and the 6000, and I want to identify those here now. The ITC receiver here on the bottom, as of February 1, 2021, will not auto-track. It would still document, and it would still be a speed source, but it will not run the auto-track function on your forage harvester. The newest 6000 and the one before it, the 3000, will work with auto-track, but they need to have the latest software installed on them. Here are the numbers that the software needs to be to make it work for the 6000 receiver as well as the 3000. And again, the ITC receiver will work for documentation. So if you are running your forage harvester with RowSense feelers, you can document and let the feelers do the auto steering. But if you're using both GPS and RowSense, you'll need to have one of these two receivers and the latest software on them. If you need some assistance with that, please ask and we will help you. The other issue we've been having, we get calls that say documentation is not working on my forage harvester. What is the problem? The first question we ask, is the inoculant dosage happening? And if they say no, we start looking here at this NOx sensor and the connection right here. The NOx sensor connection has a tendency to develop some moisture in it, which will then cause corrosion on these pins. And if those pins do not have good connection, it will stop documentation from happening. There are 3 sensors on the machine. If you have stone detection, you have one on the lower and one on the upper feed roll, as well as on the shear bar connection. Here's what happens. The shear bar adjustment does not start, and that would give you an indication that we need to look there. Automatic recording of the mass flow sensor does not record the inoculant, another good indicator, and we're not able to program the NOx sensors themselves. Just wanted you to be aware of that. Another area that comes into play quite often is you'll have a complaint that the steering is S-ing back and forth and doesn't seem to be held steady. First thing we do is we try to give it a little adjustment with the steering wheel sensitivity. If we cannot get it there, we start looking here at the wheel angle sensor. It could be worn, the harnessing could be broken or unplugged. It could be a loose connection here. Another thing that can happen is the sensor on the front of the header can be loose, and therefore it would give a bad reading. But mostly we look at the wheel angle sensor. These are just a few things that we wanted you to see. Hopefully this will help. Thank you.
As we continue to talk about forage harvester technology, let's examine the benefits of the Harvest Lab 3000. This product measures moisture content in real time, giving us the best information to decide when to push forward with harvest or when to pull back and wait. It also allows us to adjust the length of cut, which affects the density as we pack that silage. Everything that we're doing with the Harvest Lab 3000 is to optimize feed quality, get the best feed possible out of that field and into a bunker. Now with good moisture and yield information, we can accurately adjust our inoculant dosing to get the most efficient use from those products also. The Harvest Lab 3000 is compatible with all 7, 8, and 9000 series choppers that are Harvest Lab ready. Now let's talk about why accurate yield information is so important. It could be that missing piece of the puzzle. You know, that last piece that you can't find and you get frustrated because the puzzle just isn't finished. Think of a grower and the input cost that he puts into that crop in the growing season, the seed, fertilizer, application cost, tillage, everything that goes in. Now at the end of the season, we want to measure how effective we were in our growing season. That's that yield map, that digital copy of the yield and moisture content that was removed from that field. That map's going to be sent wirelessly to Operations Center, and that's done through our 4G JD-Link connectivity. I've got that underlined because we need to make sure that we are moving to 4G in this calendar year. 3G connectivity cannot be extended past the end of 2021 and into 2022. So that means any of the machines that are depending on 3G connectivity need to get upgraded this year. So contact someone from PrairieLand and make sure that your machine is going to be able to stay connected the entire year and into next year. Once those maps are sent to Operations Center, they'll be viewable online on the website or in a mobile app, even at the field if you need to see it that soon. These maps allow us to make comparisons. You can compare across different areas in the field, different treatments, different practices, and definitely compare how different hybrids and varieties are producing. This is done really easily in our Gen 4 4640. Just follow the green arrows. Let's start over here in the lower left where we hit the setup button. Then that gets this pop up here in work setup. We're going to have 3 different panels we'll work through. We'll start with our location, which is simply client farm field. And then under equipment, which is automatically populated from the machine and the head. So it should be accurate, but you can check it by pressing anywhere in this area of the panel. And then over in work summary, that's where we document what we're doing. So we need to know the crop, variety, and get your harvest units the way you want to see them. Once you hit OK, you're ready to start chopping. Then in the 2630, we've got a few more, but once again, just follow the green arrows and we'll get to the same point. We'll start with the main menu, and then we get to the GS3 documentation button, which will open up this change harvest settings. Pushing that gets us this pop-up. And then once again, we just fill in the 3 arrows. We need our crop type, our brand, and variety. You can use variety locator and check mark that if you have the planting information. With that, the machine will then track yield according to variety for you. Hit accept, and you're ready to start chopping. Now let's take this to the next step with constituents. We still have some unknowns. Even though we have yield and moisture on that feed, we still need to know a little more about that, and that is John Deere Constituent Sensing Forage Bundle. Working with the Harvest Lab 3000, we are taking over 4,000 readings per second. Now we're getting accurate measurements on things like dry matter, starch, protein, neutral detergent fiber, acid detergent fiber, and sugar content. Now we're measuring the true feed value that we're putting in the trucks and putting into the bunkers. We may even be going into a different bunker or silo because of the information we have on that feed value. We definitely have given the end user information to create the feed rations that he's going to be using throughout the year. We've also given that grower how much nutrients been removed from the field so that he can go ahead and make that part of his fertilizer application plan to start this process all over again. Here's some of the topics that we talked about when it comes to forage harvesters and the technology that works with them.